لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولا مثال له وأشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا ومولانا محمدا عبده وحبيبه ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل عليه في الآخرين وصل عليه عند الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. وبعد. أيها المؤمنون الحاضرون، أوصيكم ونفسي الخاطئة بتقوى الله وطاعته، إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون. يقول ربنا سبحانه وتعالى في المحكم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله. Dear brothers and sisters, I praise Allah as He deserves to be praised, and I ask Him to send His peace and His blessings upon His last and beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our teacher, our master, our guidance. May His peace and His blessings be upon His family members, His companions, and all of those who followed His way of life until the Day of Judgment. Jum'ah Mubarakah to all of you brothers and sisters of our community here and the Ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Often parents, they come to me, and I know that this is the case with many other imams out there, and these parents are not satisfied, angry with their children. And the first thing that they would mention is, Imam, help me with my children. It is a legit complaint. It is a question that needs to be answered. That should be a concern. And imams, teachers, people who, alhamdulillah, do have knowledge about the book of Allah and the tradition of Prophet ﷺ would be able to help in this regard. But unfortunately, there is so much they can do. They can give instructions, but they cannot walk the walk. Either you as a parent or your child, ultimately it is your child who's going to do the walk. An imam can give some instructions to parents. The parents, they can give instruction to children, not only though, and I'm going to go a little bit into details about that one, but instructions and wish for the child to do better. Do prayers, du'as, all of these things, they help a lot. But ultimately, at the end, it is in the hands of the child. And this child can be very young, this child can be a teenager, this child can be even a young adult sometimes. The worst thing is when we see our youth belonging to Muslim families ending up consuming drugs. And unfortunately, many times, since they see the other people do certain drugs, they think that if he's doing it or she's doing it, why can't I do it? And it starts with drugs that are very popular everywhere. And then it ends up going into other drugs that are more heavy, and they will cause way more damage to your body. They all cause damage, but there are those who have less damage. didn't think much about the effect because he saw a lot of people around him or her doing drugs, and he thought, you know what? I'll be okay. They are okay. But drugs, there are addictions. And that's a problem that a lot of people don't understand that part. That drugs are addiction. That person who maybe used drugs for 5 years during the time when this guy or girl was 20 years old, he had 2-3 friends around him or her. Maybe one of them passed away, died in a young age after consuming drugs. Another person just quit. Maybe did drugs with you for 1 year or 2 years, and then after that, just simply quit. Will that be impacted? Yes, probably is going to have impact, but since he quit, he's going to be more safer than somebody who keeps doing drugs. But you, mashallah, you started using drugs and you went on for years. So you went on for the 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, 6th year, 7th, 8th, 9th, because it's a strong addiction. You couldn't quit after that. It started you being around these people, but then later on doing it yourself, even without anybody around you. Even when you were staying home. Man, this is boring. I need to get something that's going to get me up. Coffee? Nah, these are not for me. Cocaine. Or hit something strong so it can really get you strong and get you up, going. So that is the time when the individual is completely destroying himself or herself at that point. And then all of a sudden, years, they go by so quick. The person may have started working and then all of a sudden drops from work. Had good relations with people, now there is no more relation because nobody wants to be around drug addicts. Well, but I'm not doing drugs in front of these people, but the effects of the drugs that you have done before, maybe an hour ago, 2 hours ago, last night, whatever the case may be, is going to impact your conversation with these other individuals. You're going to say crazy things. You're going to get upset very quickly for no reason. You're going to be careless about what the others are saying. All of these are different symptoms of a person who constantly uses drugs. So you're going to have no friends. There is no circle around you. You're going to be by yourself. And as you are by yourself like that, you still consume drugs day after day. So a time comes when you just see yourself in the streets as a homeless. Well, that is not always the case. I know that's not always the case. As I said, there are some people who, they give up, which is very strong, as I said, but there are some who give up. And they start rebuilding their life. See, to give up, yes, it requires a very strong commitment. But also you have to have a very strong personality in order to get back to your life. That's another part that sometimes people, they neglect. They say, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they're going to use it, but then later on, they're going to get back to their life. No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy, especially when you lost everything, because those 3 years, let's say you didn't lose 100% of the things around you. You probably lost 50% of the things around you. 50% of your friends. You probably lost a work. You probably lost a lot of things. So it requires another stronger personality than just simply quitting drugs in order for you to get back to life. So it's not as simple as people they make it. When you hear about somebody who was a drug addict and then all of a sudden gets back to his own feet. Double strength, which most of the people don't have. So therefore, for 3-4 years, they still depend on other people. My brother, can you help me to pay the rent this year? Can you help me to pay the rent this month? His brother has his own family, man. He has his own child, his own wife. He has to take care of his own things. He is there to support you, yes, but not when you destroy yourself with your own hands. Yes, when something comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something unexpected, All of a sudden, all right, there is a company that is laying people off from jobs, or I don't know, there is something that is unexpected. Yes, the brother should be there to help. People, good friends around you, community members, they should be able to help. And we have seen people going through a lot of things, divorces, going through a lot of problems. But not when you do things with your own hands, constantly, year after year, until you destroy yourself. How do you expect people around you to help you? So, knowing that, there are also years that it requires for somebody, even if the person has a strong commitment, it requires some time to get back on the feet. Number one, dealing with addiction. Number two, getting back on the feet. So why go through all of this instead of just, not using it to begin with? But as I said, there are some other problems. Those problems I'll go on today, and these problems that I'm going to go through are not necessarily problems or challenges, whatever you want to call them, associated only to those who use drugs. I use drugs because this is something that a lot of people do, and most of the youth do, including Muslim children. Including Muslim children. Don't think that they are immune to this. Don't think that they are immune. I personally know many who did drugs. There were people who would never think that they do. They would come to the mosque and perform prayers and all of that, but then all of a sudden we know that they do drugs. I had to deal with families. I had to be the intermediary person and try to help them and all of that. That's what I know. So a person comes to me, I remember, doesn't matter the background, but he just comes to me one day and he says, Imam, we're so proud. I was talking about youth. We had a gathering with some people in somebody's house. Not a youth gathering, but it was, somebody passed away, and, I was just having a speech, and it was one of those azaz. In Arabic, people, they call that condolences when somebody passed away. He comes to me and he says, Imam, I'm so proud. And subhanAllah, I happen to know the kid. I happen to know he has many boys. So he was talking about his own kids. Sorry, not one kid, but his kids. I'm so proud. Since I keep my kids busy working with me, they're good. Alhamdulillah, at least they don't do drugs or anything like that. I'm so pleased. They don't come to the masjid. They're not connected to religion or anything like that. But at least they're not using drugs. I'm so happy for that. I didn't want to say it straight in front of his face there, but I knew that the kid does use drugs. I also know the people around him, and I also knew his kids, maybe not all of them, but one or two of them for sure. I had to go, so I didn't want to prolong that conversation, disappoint him right there in front of his face, but this was the reality. Sometimes we don't think that this is the case, but this could be a case. It can be very close to your home. So what's the solution? What do we do, as I said, not only with drugs, but what do we do with youth in general? Because if the young person doesn't have problems with drugs, that young person is going to have other problems. What are other problems? Number one, hang around the wrong crowd. The girl is going to have a boyfriend. The guy is going to have a girlfriend. And you know that this is prohibited in Islam. When the time comes for marriage, we marry our children. So that's one thing. The other thing is waste time, do nothing. Do nothing but play video games all day long, watch movies, chat all day long, do nothing. Gossip. Not only adults, but children too, they are a lot in gossip. Just waste time pretty much. We want them to do something with their life. And like I said, often they come to me and they say, Imam, help me with this please, let's do it. I say, I don't do magic. Sometimes people think that just by reading something or by sitting, having a conversation with a child, this is going to flip things 180 degrees around. No, it's not. It's not. It's going to be a session. And you need so many sessions, day after days, in order to do something positive with your child. It's not a magic pill where you just take it and then all of a sudden tomorrow you wake up, be, like total different person. Where you have strength to be as a Muslim and to be Sayyidina Umar and to be Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali or Abu Bakr and all. No, it doesn't happen like that. Then what is the real solution? Going back again. Well, there are a lot of things, but it starts, number one, it starts with the parent. Not with a child, but with a parent. Why do I say not with a child? Because the child has to go through those years of hardship. Nobody can prevent. That is a part of when a child starts learning, investigating, exploring new things. And sometimes there are negative things and sometimes there are positive things. They are exploring who they are. They're exploring their personalities. They're going to try something bad and see if they have attachment to it or not. They're going to try something good. They're going to be hanging around wrong people, good people. They're finding themselves during that time. Yes, they have a lot of complexities. During the teenage time, they have a lot of complexities. But again, it is because they have no vision at that point. There's no vision. If you ask a little kid, 5 years old kid, 6, 7, 8, what do you want to be when you grow up? What will the kid say? I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be whatever, lawyer. I want to be this or that. But then when you ask a teenager, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Why? Because there's no vision anymore. See, when he was little or she was little, had vision. But now there's no vision. Why there's no vision? Because there's no guidance. Yeah, but I'm trying to work with my kid a lot and to sit but it's not functioning. What can I do? Change your ways. Change your ways until your kid starts having a vision for his life or her life. Well, but this is how we were grown up. Nobody took care of us. Nobody really sat with us. And you do that. Maybe the older generation didn't have much things. Nobody was there to teach them. Nobody was there to sit. There was no khutbahs talking about these things probably. It was old school. But now, alhamdulillah, you do have more access through all of these positive things. You have people around you who can give you some advice, who can give you some step-by-step explanation on how you can really, make sure that you are growing up youth according to the way how they should be, behaving themselves and, living their lives. Another person came to me and said, I don't know what to do, he said. I'll probably just get my child out of my home. Not even an 18 years old yet. But because I'm so sick and tired, Muslim family, I'm so sick and tired of his face, he said. Seeing him around and complaining all the time and using drugs and all of that, I'm just going to throw him out of the house. That's it. I'm fed up with him. I don't want to have anything to do with him. This is a shame to our family, and the person has a lot of people around, so that's it. I'm done with him. And I know myself, I know the person again, this is a result of this person's inability to work with a kid. When he talks to his own kid, he talks about irrelevant things completely. Very traditional. And most of the conversation, it has to do with back home. Stories about back home and Things that even adults, they would be sick and tired of sitting around and going through that kind of conversation anymore, especially here. Instead of giving those stories, give some instructions. And when you give the instructions, those instructions are not going to be yelling and screaming, which most of us do, by the way. We yell and scream. It shouldn't be about yelling and screaming, but it should be in a nicely manner and also in a friendly manner as well. Because your teenager is growing. The last thing that he or she wants to hear is a screaming person at him. Trust me, it's going to work better. Yeah, I know that you have to be strict. Being strict is different. Not strict, but there are times when you need to be strict. Definitely, I'm with that you need to be strict. As you are strict with yourself sometimes too, in order to achieve certain things. As you are strict with your own religion, right? You have to perform prayers, you have to do discipline. That is a very important part of your faith, which most of us fail to begin with. Again, we fail being disciplined people. But again, with your child too, you have to be, when I say strict, disciplined. Let's just put it that way, probably that's a better word. There should be a discipline. Because discipline brings out the child, or makes the child grow strong and disciplined person. A person who is disciplined is very different from somebody who is not disciplined. The disciplined person will achieve more in life, will have more people around that person, will be more influential around the others. The one who's not disciplined always fails. Brother, can we do this? Inshallah. Alright, let's do it. When can we do it? Tomorrow. Okay, Bismillah, let's meet, let's do it. No show up, nothing, no call, nothing. What happened, man? Oh, I was busy doing something else. I'm sorry. I waited for you. I left my own work, I left my own people. I did, just to reserve this time so I can meet with you and we can get this business done. And you're failing me, pretty much. Why? Because of no discipline. No discipline. Not putting the priorities straight. But just taking things like, who cares? Just whatever comes, kind of. This kind of attitude makes you or your child less productive in life. A loser, pretty much. This is a loser. A disciplined person is productive for himself and for the people around him. That's what Prophet ﷺ, when he says a strong Muslim, is a person, he's not necessarily meaning strong muscles. But a strong Muslim, a Muslim who has a strong personality, meaning disciplined person. ليس الشديد من غلب الناس إنما الشديد من غلب نفسه. It is not the strong one, the one who hits the others and beats up the others. But the strongest person is the one who overcomes his own nafs. What does it mean to overcome your own nafs? Well, the first requirement is discipline. That's how you can overcome your own passions and whims, through discipline. If you're not disciplined, even your own nafs is going to play around with you day and night. Right now it's going to make you feel you want this. Later it's going to make you feel I want that. Later is something else, and you're kind of all lost. So going back again to, as I was saying, it starts with you. I said discipline. You need to bring into this child the discipline. As I said, this person who came to me, tough, yelling and screaming, but you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. But at the same time telling him stories, not really telling him instructive advices in a way that a child or a young adult or teenager, whatever the case may be, will absorb. Not in a way that he will or she will absorb, but in a way that he wants him to absorb. And often we forget the fact that our children, most of them are born here. Yet we want to talk to them the way how our parents, they talk to us back home. Major problem. What do they go through, children here? Well, when they are, especially between the ages of 10 and 17 years old, they go through a lot of selfishness. Period. They're selfish. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Otherwise, you would have done other things, what the adults are doing in order to sacrifice. Not all adults, but selfishness is one of the main things there. Self-centeredness. Like they want things to revolve around them. And remember, Islamically too, this is the time when the nafs and shaitan as well is playing with them. Why? Because shaitan wants to, this age, being a teenager or a young adult, is the time when you're laying your foundations of your life. So when you're laying the foundations, anybody who wants to see this building later on destroyed, when do they use their time to inflict these trials? In the foundation, during the foundation time. So, shaitan and your own nafs as well plays with you more than ever during this time through the teenage years. So that's why you see selfishness, you see self-centeredness, and almost total obliviousness to the world around them. Like they don't care at all what's happening around them. Like who comes, who goes, who talks, they're careless. Why? Because they're focused in their own world there. That's what matters to them. Again, as I said, this is something that they have to go through. And despite the self-absorption, there is still a lack of proper sense of self and strong identity. Like even though they're going through all of this, they have a lack of sense of self. Whims, they have uncontrolled whims and things, but they are not aware of this. They don't know how to control all of this. But at the same time, they don't have a strong identity either, who they are. So, I think there's a lot of ways how to fix. But many concerned parents complain about how their children prefer to remain with un-Islamic influences. Like rather having them in the mosque, rather having them be involved with mosque activities, school, all of that. You see them that they prefer more un-Islamic influences and ignore their parents' attempts to sway them towards coming to the masjid and being involved with the other Muslims. We're always wondering what we can do to draw our youth back to the masjid, for example, or back to Islam, to engage them and involve them, and above all, keep them safe. In order to do this, we need to look at the other side first. What is about the non-Muslim lifestyle that attracts them? A lot of the time, it is the attention that they receive. In a culture that celebrates and promotes individualism. I know that sometimes youth are not following me with this thing, but at least adults, inshallah, hopefully they get this point, because this is a very important point. Again, what makes them be detached? It is the outside world, it is the un-Islamic environment that attracts them. Why? Because what they promote is selfishness. When you start analyzing, it promotes these values of selfishness, individualism, and unhealthy extreme. That's why you see them, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try drugs, I'm going to do that. Well, this is heroism according to my classmates, so I'm going to do that so I can see in front of the others that I am, the one who can do it, and the others they can't do. All of these things. Extreme, as I said, unhealthy extreme. Individualism and narcissistic youth also are dazzled by how it is all about them. And that's what we need to break. We need to break, because our religion is not about selfishness. It is not about individualism. These are all opposite traits that we teach and we preach. So inshallah in the future, next Friday, we'll talk about some more practical steps on how can we help, as parents, our youth, get closer to the masjid, get closer to things that are positive in their life, things that will take them to the next step where we want them to be. But as I said, this is a collaboration between you and your child. I underline this at the end. I strongly underline this. If you're not there for them, don't expect them to be influential and be positive people. If you're not there for them. If you're going to leave it in the hands of the school, that's what's going to happen. Individualism and so on. If you're going to leave it in the hands of their friends around them, trust me, they're not going to be good influence. Even if they are Muslim kids sometimes. But you as a parent, if you're going to sit and go with them, sit with them, spend hours and hours with them. I tell to people, it's easy to bring a child into this world. At least for men. For women it's harder. But, even for women, 9 months, okay. And then after that, what? It can be easier to bring the child in this world. It is way harder to make them grow as true believers or as good individuals. What does that require? Above everything else, it is your time, your commitment with them. And not commitment that you are going to scream at them, yell at them, and just be negative influence around them. No. Be like a friend to them, but be positive influence around them. Be not strict in that sense, but as I said, be disciplined. Show them how to be disciplined people. Help them how to find themselves. Put in their minds some mission, some goals, what they want to achieve. Because they forget these things when they become teenagers, as I said. But these are important parts of the foundations that without them, they're not going to have a healthy upbringing. As I said, we'll continue inshallah in the future. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps them and helps us achieve the best in our lives. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'il muslimin fastaghfiruh innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah, hamd al-kamilin wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala ta'ziman li nabiyhi wa takriman li fakhamati sha'ni sharafi safi فقال عز وجل من قائل مخبرا وآمرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. One quick thing, brothers and sisters, that I wanted to mention today is I receive often complaints from people, and I have to address these complaints in the community. One of the complaints is during the prayer, people, they keep their phones on. Inshallah, we're going to put signs around here saying that turn your phones off or put it in vibration. Even vibration, I wouldn't prefer that. The reason is because you are praying and that vibrates right away, there's a distraction right there. So put them silent. Either turn them off or put them silent. This way, you are not distracting yourself and you're not distracting the people around you. Always remember, the moment you enter these doors, just make that thing go into your mind first. Phones. And subhanAllah, sometimes people, they say that, you know what, well, my phone is ringing and I don't have to do anything because the moment I move my hands like this, it's a makruh in salah. Now, compare that with 500 people who are probably praying there, and they're listening to your ring right there. Now, put them in scale. Which one is going to be? So please turn it off. Turn it off. If it rings or something like that, right away turn it off, please. That's one thing. The other thing is with children. Mosques, there are places where children, they're welcome. And we encourage people to bring the children. As a matter of fact, we encourage. Because a masjid that has no youth, no children, I put a big question mark there. What kind of masjid is, what is producing that masjid? That's the thing. So they're welcome, but there should be parents taking care of them. Often what we see is children running around, having, the parent having no sense of responsibility whatsoever. And these children now, they're disturbing the other people. And it is not meant to be like that. Yes, they are welcome in the masjid, but it is not meant to be where you just leave your child roaming around the way how your child or your baby wants. And then all of a sudden, oh, why this brother is screaming at my child? Well, start first, take care of your children. Don't let your children lose like that. If you know that your child is going to go around and disturb the others. Because people, when they come here to focus on their prayers. They come here for a spiritual thing. They don't come here to work or to deal with your children and to no, the main thing why people come here is to find that peace, that spiritual peace, to pray and all of that. So why do you disturb them? Well, it's just a child. Yeah, your child is disturbing them because your child is crying, for example. And I always say to people, if you see your child crying and there are people performing the prayer right here, break your prayer. It's better for you to break your prayer. In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is better for you to do that than you to go like, no, I'm in prayer. I have already started the prayer. But the child is screaming there. I don't care, I'm in prayer. I cannot break the prayer. No, break your prayer. Whether it is Jum'ah prayer, whether it is whatever prayer it is, sisters, break your prayers. If you have your children there screaming and yelling and doing all of that, break your prayers. Whether it is Friday or any prayer, it is more righteous to do that than to have one child disturb all the hundreds and hundreds of people disturbing them. And if your child, even if it's walking in front of the rows, make sure that your child is taken care of. Don't do that. Security reasons too. Alhamdulillah, we have 2 security people in our property right here. But again, nobody can prevent everything. Even if you have sometimes 4, 5, 6, it's impossible sometimes to prevent any accident. So don't let your child go outside and do things like that. Another thing too is, look, when these youngsters, they come, especially we've seen this during Ramadan. Young guys, young girls, you come to a masjid, utilize your time to do 2 things, man. I love when I see you playing basketball out there. I love when I see you, doing other things, playing other games or just socializing with each other. The community is meant to be like that. Use that, do it, great. But at the same time, don't neglect your spiritual part as well. Don't say like, well, I go to a masjid, I'm going to play basketball, my parents are going to pray there, I have nothing to do with the prayer, I'm just outside there. And sometimes we, as parents too, sometimes we feel good, like we say, oh, our kids are coming to the masjid, alhamdulillah. Yeah, that is better than nothing, but come on, man, utilize your time a little bit better. Get inside the mosque. You don't want to do 20 rakahs or something. Do 4 rakahs, do 8 rakahs, pray with people. Don't come just to entertain your body, entertain your soul as well. That's what a masjid is for. Wallah, I feel sad when I see them like that. It's like we have nothing to do with this, we just come here for the sports and stuff. Sports, you can do them anywhere. So be a little bit, feel that you need to engage with God, you need to ask for repentance again, you need to earn some spiritual guidance as well. Maybe listen to a few words here and there. It is not meant to be only for adults. Few words are meant to be only for youngsters as well. You will hear hadith, you will hear an ayah from the Quran. It will stay in your mind, you benefit. So use your time. Again, as I said, I'm not against playing and doing all of that, but wallahi, I've seen in masjids. I was in Tucson Mosque last week with a few sisters from our community right here for a lecture over there, alhamdulillah. And I saw them, Sheikh Wadik there, he was telling to you the same thing. He said, we never see you for any lectures or anything like that. All you do is just come here to play basketball. So what is this? That's something that everybody needs to think. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى العفو والعافية وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن أهل بيت رسول الله وعن التابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله